The Art of Healing from Thought to Relief. The Essential Cognitive Therapy Guide for Mental Wellness. Introduction. Welcome somewhere. Right now, someone is lying awake, doing exactly what you may have done last night, turning a worry over and over, looking for the angle that finally makes it stop. Somewhere else, someone is standing frozen in front of a task that shouldn't feel this heavy, wondering, quietly, if the heaviness says something true about them. And somewhere else still, someone is simply tired. Not the kind of tired sleep fixes, but the kind that comes from carrying a mind that rarely feels fully at rest. If any part of that sounds familiar, I want to say, before anything else, you're not opening this book by accident. And you're not alone in why you picked it up. My name is Eden Patrick, and I want to tell you honestly what this book is not. It is not a promise that your mind will stop generating worry, or that stress will vanish from your life once you finish listening. I don't believe that book exists, and I wouldn't trust it if it claimed to. What I can offer you instead is something I've come to believe matters far more than the absence of difficulty. A clear, evidence-grounded understanding of why your mind does what it does under pressure, and a set of tools, tested and specific, for meeting that pressure differently than you may have been meeting it until now. This book moves the way a good conversation moves, not in bullet points, not in commandments, but through stories. You'll meet people across these chapters. A man wide awake at 3 a.m., certain his world is unraveling over an unanswered email. A woman who cannot finish a single sentence of an important document, convinced that failing at it would reveal something true and damning about her. A father whose patience seems to evaporate on 4 hours of sleep, and a woman standing frozen in a parking lot, overwhelmed by nothing more dramatic than an ordinary day that simply asked too much all at once. None of them are exceptional in their struggle. That's precisely the point. Their stories are composites, drawn from patterns so common that you will very likely recognize pieces of yourself somewhere among them. And I'd encourage you to let yourself notice that recognition when it comes, rather than looking away from it. Underneath each of their stories sits real science. The neurobiology of an anxious brain, the architecture of a distorted thought, the physiology of a single deliberate breath, the quiet chemistry connecting what you eat to how you feel. I've tried to translate all of it into language that respects your intelligence without requiring a background in psychology or medicine to follow. Where a study or a mechanism matters, I've included it. Where a term needed explaining, I've explained it in plain terms, because I don't believe insight should require a dictionary. And this book asks something of you in return, which I want to be upfront about now, at the very start. It asks you to actually try the exercises, not simply listen to them described. A breathing pattern read about in passing does very little. A breathing pattern practiced even once, in a real moment of tension, begins to change something. The same is true of every tool in these pages. The thought records, the small behavioral experiments, the grounding exercises built for genuinely overwhelming moments. This is not a book to be absorbed passively, the way you might listen to a story with no stake in the outcome. It's closer to a set of instruments, handed to you one at a time, each one worth picking up and actually using while the chapter is still fresh. 7 chapters lie ahead of you. We'll begin, quite literally, with the storm, what happens in your brain and body in the grip of anxiety, and how to interrupt it in real time. From there, we'll examine the architecture of a single distorted thought, learn to meet the particular fear of failure that quietly shapes so many decisions, turn toward the body's own role in emotional steadiness through sleep and breath, explore the chemistry that connects nutrition to mood, gather a toolkit built for exactly the kind of overwhelming ordinary day that doesn't wait for a convenient time, and finally, bring it all together into something less like a list of techniques and more like a new, steadier way of moving through your own life. You don't need to arrive at this book as someone already halfway healed. You only need to arrive willing to listen closely and willing, when the moment calls for it, to actually try what's offered. That's all this work has ever required of anyone. So find a comfortable place to be, walking, resting, wherever you happen to be right now, and let's begin. The version of you at 3 a.m., or in that parking lot, or staring at an unfinished sentence, is closer to relief than they may currently believe. Let's go find it together.